welcome to the ReVerb Experiment Podcast with your hosts G_Focus and Stefdotnet.
That's good, y'all.
This is episode number 60.
I believe you said 60.
I think it's number 60, the big 60. Y'all go ahead, subscribe. I'm going to get that down. Comment and whatever y'all need to do. We appreciate y'all for tuning in and listening.
We got a full show today.
We're going to be talking about...
We got Funky Dineva drag Chloe Bailey for the alleged Halle Bailey pregnancy that's going around. Mm-hmm. We also got Irv Gotti talking about Ashanti yet again. Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, we got some relationship advice. But first, we want to say congratulations to Sha'Carri Richardson. Gotta give her that round of applause. The comeback, like we always say, the setback is always for the comeback.
It's always for the comeback.
So yeah, she won World. She ran 10.65. Something
like that, yeah.
In the 100 meter. And I believe she set a new world record.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they was already, you know, trying to be out. Oh, you know, Elaine Thompson wasn't running. She would have beat her. She beat who was on the track. Mm-hmm. So we gonna congratulate her for the comeback. I know it was a lot of naysayers. You know how it is when you make a mistake.
Yeah, we just congratulating her for just being able to bounce back.
Pretty much
bouncing back. Mental health.
Yes.
We root for all black people. So
period.
Whether it be Jamaican or whether it be American, I know the narrative around her was real nasty.
It was, but I feel like she fell into some of the traps as well. But again, you know, she took her lumps. Mm-hmm. She came back. She did what she had to do, and I just really like to see the camaraderie between all of them because
that was dope.
They all amazing. Period. So
yeah,
I was glad to see that.
I was dope. I love the pictures. I love the media. I love the videos. Yeah, because there was this, and again, I don't really watch track like that, so I can't. I don't
watch till it's the Olympics. I ain't gonna lie.
I don't want to pretend like I'm the track expert, but from what I was hearing was this, I guess, beef between America and Jamaica, which I didn't know of.
Well, because at the end of the day, if you're gonna win, you're gonna have to beat a Jamaican. That's just what it is.
Oh,
when it comes, you know.
Yeah,
we already know.
And her comments didn't help. Because
she
had said some disparaging things. So
I don't know if she said anything, but I know she was liking some stuff that was
insane. You know, when you like a tweet,
we can see it.
It's almost like you saying what the person is saying.
You co-signed it. Exactly. To me, that's really it's giving a cosign. So it's a little back and forth, and I think one thing that it's hard for Americans to grasp is that it's not about black against black. It's about pride for their country, and we don't really have that.
Yeah,
we not American by choice, so it's kind of like, yeah, we gonna root for the Americans, but we really rooting for whoever's black.
And we're not number one in everything. We need to stop that lie that Americans are gonna win every single event.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That's what they do. Jamaicans run track. Yeah. They're really good at it. I mean, there's other countries that, they live, breathe, and die that particular sport. So that's just, It
is what it is. I feel like the conversation gets personal because we looking at it from a ethnicity, black, standpoint. Really, it's more nationality.
Man, look, as long as somebody won that's black, I'm all for it.
I'm all for it. I don't care either way.
I don't care where you come from. As long as you black, I'm all good for it. I also want to make sure, because we didn't do it last show, happy 50th anniversary to hip hop, man.
Yes.
Happy 50th anniversary. Absolutely. We came a long way.
We have.
We wouldn't have this platform if it wasn't for hip hop. So we want to give our congratulations, our happy 50th anniversary, and hopefully we get another 50 more years. I think it's important to point that out because I think the current state of hip hop is at a crossroads right now.
I think it is. I think too, one thing, like you said, we wouldn't be here without hip hop because at the end of the day, hip hop is black culture.
And it's the platform. Mm-hmm.
It's literally the center of it all. So
yeah.
And I think that's why hip hop gets judged so harshly, because we look at it like this is the black culture, and we want to see the culture, elevating and doing this and doing that. And I feel like we are focusing right now on one demographic of hip hop. Like,
yeah. What do you? I think before we get into our top, I think that's an interesting little conversation. How do you feel about the criticism of the new wave of female rappers?
I feel like it's nothing new. I feel like hip hop has been, like I said, being judged harshly from the beginning. From the NWAs to the, you know what I mean? So it's always been like shock factor. It's always been, storytelling. It's supposed to be about, storytelling, your background, whatever. I feel like now we're in the era of, I won't even say the era of shock sales, because it's always been that. I just feel like it's more heavily pushed. In a way,
it's more mainstream.
It's more mainstream, and then also I believe that it's just a lot more criticism on the women and not the men, because I don't feel like what the women are doing is any different. I just feel like it's more shocking because it's coming from women, because we have trap music. Everybody's cool with it. Everybody joke about riding to work, cooking up dope on the way to work, and then going into your 9 to 5. But we accept the hood men who are products of the hood that are now artists making music. But we do not accept women that are products of the hood and now making music, because they're products of the same environment, and they talk about the same. You know what I mean? You're just getting the female side of hood culture, and it's all of a sudden about morals, and they're negatively affecting the youth. And because you gotta think, black women are seen as like, everybody defers to us, like we're supposed to change everything. Like, black women have to fix everything that's wrong with the culture. So if we're out here doing us how we want to do it, the culture is in danger, because black women are not being seen in the light that you want them to be seen in. That's what I feel like.
That's interesting.
We got to carry the culture on our back.
Yeah, I think that may be why the criticism is maybe more harsh.
I won't say it's not unwarranted.
I think yeah, I don't know. I think as a catch-22, I think men got to take responsibility for degrading black women throughout the 90s and not listening to black women saying how they felt about the music. And I think this is just a product of that. And I think we have to realize, again, when we're not in control of our culture, then we don't get to control the narrative. And it's unfortunate, but the labels and the executives that choose who gets promoted and who goes mainstream and who gets the money, who goes on tour, it's typically not a black person. So they're not looking at it as, oh, we want you to be this dignified person to uphold the music and uphold the art form. They're looking at what's going to sell, what's entertaining. And I personally think that there is a malicious intent behind it. The same way that I've been on this podcast, I criticized Jay-Z when Trey Mack was on here. So I'm going to be consistent. The same way that I felt like gangster rap was pushed in the early 90s to help further the narrative that black people are criminals, as that same way I feel like this narrative of over sexualization, I feel like is being overly pushed as well. As far as mainstream goes. I'm not downing, obviously, like the Sexy Reds and things like that. I just think when you don't have any balance, I think there's issues. But again, we don't control the mainstream media. We create it, but we don't control it. So you're not going to be able to tell them what you want to. And when you're not the number one consumer either, you're not going to be able to control it either. So white people are the number one consumer of our music because they use it as entertainment. So I just think it can get dangerous, but again, it's been dangerous. I think it's more dangerous. The music isn't. I ain't gonna say it isn't. The music is dangerous because music is the one thing that you don't have to ask for permission to minister to you. Like music can get into your soul without you having to even give it permission. But I think also back in the day, there was kind of like this unwritten rule that a lot of the entertainers didn't do what they said they were doing. Like we kind of knew that. Like there was this kind of like, you knew some people did, but like there was like, you saw some of them doing other things outside of what they were talking about. And I think like, for instance, like when, I forgot what media form she was on. I think she was on some podcast where she basically said that she doesn't like using condoms and she goes raw dog. And it's like, the music is one thing, but then when you're also backing it up with podcasts and media and stuff like that, that's where it can get dangerous. And that's why that's why as I've gotten older, and as much as a hip hop head I am, I love Jay-Z, but I have to be consistent. The message is damaging. It's one thing to say, I did it, I've grown, I'm better, this is what it was. And there's another thing when you're glorifying it. And the drug dealing is glorifying. I mean, there isn't any other way for you to say it, and we can argue all day. If people want to argue in the comments with me about it, that's perfectly fine. It's glorifying it. You can go throughout this whole discography. It's glorifying selling drugs to your own community. Now, you can call it hustler. You can call it, he got out of the hood. He did what he had to do. You can do all of that. But the bottom line is when you look at the ramification of it, does it improve or does it dismantle your community? And he can help whoever he wants to help get out of jail and give as much money as he wants to whoever he needs to give it to. The bottom line is it's damaging. I don't know how else you can reconcile with that. Same thing with I had the same feelings about drill music. It's damaging. You're rapping about killing somebody. You're in the club dancing to music about killing somebody that looks like you.
I ain't never seen no drill music think pieces.
That's what I'm saying. So
that's what I'm saying. That's why I said I just feel like women are being more harshly judged, and it's like, bruh, chill.
Yeah, and I just think it's the social, because we look at women as being precious and being pure and all these other things.
Let's just be 100. Women are the leaders of our community, so of course.
Well, I think, but I also
we held to a higher standard.
Well, I don't know if it's more or less as far as from the men's perspective. I'm not saying that women are not leaders of the community. I think it's more or less that men look at it as if men are already in the Kevin Samuel, what's the other guy's name? Andrew Tate viewpoint of modern women and, don't want to be traditional, don't want to be so when we see that, I think when they see that, I'll say I think when they see that, I think it's like you're promoting the wrong message of being overly promiscuous, being ratchet. And it's like, I think because women carry life and women are give birth to children, I think that's where some of the criticism, I think some of it is misogyny. I think some of it is unwarranted, but I think some of it is warranted if it's in the right place. But I think the majority of it is just because there's this unwritten rule that most men look at women as being precious. Should. But there's just a lot of mixture in it. There is, like I said, there is some misogyny. And again, I think it's hypocritical to call women, to degrade women, but then turn around and say, but you can't degrade yourself. And I think all the way across the whole landscape of hip hop that there needs to be more balance. And
honestly,
I think
to
that
keep
we
it
need
100,
to be.
I've seen so many think pieces about this song, and I've never heard it before. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That's why I was like, to me, I'm like, I never heard it before. I'm like, y'all hate this song so bad, but you're constantly promoting it.
Well, and that's
insane to me.
But that's why she's getting promoted.
like y'all basically are free promotion. I'm like, I've never heard the song. I literally made a playlist called Songs Worse Than Pound Town. Literally. And I'm like, I've never even heard the song, but I know these songs is worse than that.
Well,
like, I'm just being 100. And these are the songs we came up on. Like, I'd never seen a think piece about Lil Wayne and Fat, or who was it, Cameron, Sucking a Knot, all this. Like, come on now, like, stop playing with me. Like, this is not new. Like, everybody's just so, like, oh my God, I can't believe this type of music is out. This type of music been out. Mm-hmm. Literally, we grew up talking about to the window, to the wall, to the sweat, drop down my balls, all skeet, 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 skeet. Like, stop playing with me. Like, this is not new music. David Banner play. Come, girl, I'm trying to get you. Like, this is not anything new at all. Tip drill. I could keep going on for days. All the way back to the NWA days.
But you do got to be honest and say that there were think pieces about those songs, especially Tip Drill.
Yeah, Tip Drill did.
Tip Drill was very controversial to the point where
the video too.
It was. I've never seen a video be banned on BET.
It sure was. You ain't lying about that.
Yeah, there was a lot of think pieces about that. So I get it.
But I mean, I know we older now, but I'm like, y'all, my thing isn't necessarily like, yeah, you grow up and you're like, bro, that's out of pocket. But it's like, y'all acting like.
But all of it is out of pocket. That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying it's all out of pocket, but I'm like, people are acting like this is like new and they're starting this. These women are starting this new degrading music. They're not.
Well, you know what? But I also read something that did make sense to me. I think that some of the men realized the error that we made, and I think are warning against women going down this road of thinking that that's empowering. That's not empowering to say that your pussy's pink and your booty hole's brown. That's not empowering music.
It's a fact. But it's not
empowering. I don't like that shit. For sure, bro. I don't like that shit.
And for as a deeper conversation, the sexual revolution, people got to realize is not. I don't know, but it's a cycle because it was a hippie movement. It was the same thing. It's not.
It's not new. Even when I think about like our female rappers, we'd be like, well, the female rappers. But we had the Queen Latifahs.
You had Kim. Well, but see, but
Kim, I don't want dick tonight.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Like, stop playing.
But the difference was you had balance.
In her music?
No. Oh, I'm talking about across the landscape. You had balance. You had an Eve. You had a Queen Latifah. You had a TLC. There was balance. There was a variety of other artists that you can listen to
that were mainstream.
Yes,
you're
that
saying
were mainstream.
Okay, so I was about to say there are other artists.
I'm talking about mainstream. Yes, back then there was a variety. Same thing with the male artists. You had your DMXs. You had your Dr. Dre's and Snoop Dogg's, but you also had your Commons. There was balance in the music. You also had your Mos Defs, where back in the day, to this day, you would never hear Mos Def on the radio. You would never hear a Common record on the radio. Back then, you heard all of that on the radio. Then you had Midnight, you had love songs. What I mean? There was just more of a diverse representation of our culture. Now it is very, very narrow where it is ratchet.
Okay.
But again, that's on both sides.
If you're saying as far as what you hear on the radio, I could go with that. I don't necessarily listen to the radio.
Radio, I'm just saying there's not really a barometer of what you can say from what mainstream is unless you say TikTok, unless you say, what's been streamed the most. I don't even know how you whatever. But I'm just, what is being promoted, that's probably the best thing I say. Because you can tell there's money behind it.
Well, I feel like as far as like what's
she didn't blow. I don't think she blew up. I think that was calculated.
Well, I think we're in the era of shock factor sales. Like even with like these brands and stuff, like they're coming out saying the wildest of shit that they could say, and then coming back with an apology. Why? Because it's the best promotion. Because people love, like you said, people are searching and looking to be offended.
Well,
and so like they're going to pick the most offensive things and continue to promote them by saying how much they hate it.
Well, and I think with all the things that are competing for your attention, they're just looking for something to grab your attention.
Absolutely.
But again, we also have to ask ourselves, why is it that with our community, it's always over sexualization. It's always over criminalization. It's always like one of those two things. It's not really anything else. It was gangster rap, and then it was sex with the men, sex with the women, you know, and I don't know. We have to. I think we really have to look and take a deep look at what we are allowing black culture to be represented as. And I think we have a little bit more depth than those things. I think there's a place for those things.
Absolutely.
I just think that there needs to be balance, though. So yeah, I think we all need to take that into an account. I just wanted to see what your thoughts on that were. All right, let's get into
let's get into it.
We introduced everybody. We said everything.
We said
right?
everything.
Happy anniversary to hip hop. We said that.
All that.
Like, subscribe, all that.
All that.
We are donated. We are listener donated. We didn't say that. Mm-hmm. We are listener donated. We are listener supported. Mm-hmm. Please donate to the platform. All right, all that's out the way. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So what we talking about? Funky.
First up, we got Funky Dineva.
Funky Dineva. You know, this just shows you how old I'm getting. I don't even know who no Funky Dineva is.
We got Funky Dineva dragging Chloe Bailey, who was defending her sister against pregnancy rumors.
And her sister is
Halle Bailey.
Halle Berry. That's
Halle Berry. Halle Bailey.
Halle Bailey. You got me saying Halle Berry.
No, you said.
And shout out, hey, City Boys is up. City Boys is up.
We don't know that.
Oh, City Boys is
it's
up.
Alleged.
City Boys is up.
It's alleged.
I'm talking about Halle Berry having to pay child support.
Oh, I forgot about that.
She the first black woman in history to pay child support to 2 white boys.
Yeah, that's what I said. They City Boys?
Yeah.
Them ain't City Boys. Them is not y'all, so why y'all clapping?
They on the white side of the City Boy Association.
This is not a W for y'all.
It's a W for the City Boy. Hey, Holly, if you wanted somebody to watch the kids, man, you could have just hollered at me.
Oh, but you know what? All of these men that are praising Halle Berry's baby daddies for getting child support, please also include that they have 50-50 custody, a lot of what y'all don't have. So don't think you about to just be getting child support for kids that you're not physically taking care of.
Look, for AK,
so you could clap if you want to.
For AK a month. I'll take the AK.
Hello, like they do also have 50-50 custody of their children.
Holly, holla at your boy, man. AK sound real nice.
You gotta take care of your kids though.
Oh, I take care of all my kids. What you talking about?
I'm talking about the niggas that's clapping.
AK.
They don't know nothing about being no primary caregiver. Why they clapping?
Well, we gonna talk about trapping in a minute. Later. All right. So Funky Dineva was talking about Chloe. Right?
Yeah, Chloe, in response to her defending her sister. You got the clip?
I got the clip. All right, let me see what this nigga talking about, man.
The next day was be like, child, it's so goddamn lame to me. First of all, girl, you were Miss Preppy Ashley from the suburbs. Then you came out, you was being all promiscuous and shit. And then now you trying to be a gangster. None of it is fucking believable, girl. None of it is believable. And I'm probably gonna catch a lot of backlash for this. And without that makeup, she ain't cute. She should have never showed up on that camera with that fat ass face without no makeup. She ain't cute. You're not believable. You're so goddamn inauthentic. That's why your shit ain't selling. All right. That's number one. The girl is clearly pregnant. You really wanted to shut shit down. All you had to do the next day was be like, child, y'all know y'all need to stop playing. Pregnant where? I know this story is about Haley. It's so goddamn.
All right, well, that's a lot to say.
He ate her up. Over, and all she said was, "Keep my sister's name out of your mouth. Y'all gonna get me started." That's all she said. But apparently, if you from the suburbs, you can't step for your sister.
I just don't understand what was all the extra.
Exactly.
All the venom exactly. on whatever you had to say. Like, if you have an opinion, that's perfectly fine. I just don't understand where did all the venom come from?
Facts. And you know what? This is the thing. Like, he went on to say, like, oh, I just don't like when people play in our face. Clearly that girl is pregnant. She did look pregnant to me in that video. I'm not going to lie. But at the end of the day, honestly, I don't believe Chloe was just responding to people assuming that she was pregnant. It was a lot of talk about, her being trapped and her being stupid and letting that man trap her and she just messed up her bag for Disney. Like, that was a lot of the talk that was going on. So I feel like that was more so it, not just them trying to deny the pregnancy rumors.
So disappointed that she messed up her opportunity? Is that
basically like that's what a lot of people on the internet were saying. So when she said keep my sister's name out of your mouth, I didn't take that to mean why y'all trying to say my sister's pregnant. No, it's y'all dragging her. Even if she is, y'all doing too much. I believe that's why she said that. So him making it, they playing in our face, trying to act like she not pregnant. No, I don't feel like that's what her response was about. And even if it was, you still did too much. My thing for me has always been that homosexual men need to realize that your homosexuality does not give you a pass for your misogyny. It don't. I'm sorry. It just really doesn't. Like, at the end of the day, as a marginalized group, I feel like they feel like they could get a pass on shit like that. And you just don't. And that's why you are being dragged. The same way you got dragged when you call Blue Ivy a 7-year-old ugly. Like, this inner hatred for black women, like, it keeps popping out with you. Not necessarily like across the board, but with this.
So where do you think that comes from? Because he's homosexual. So it's not that he wants to procreate or be with a black woman. So where
the same place it comes from with everybody else.
No, I think with some of the misogyny with black men or men, it comes from like you're not fitting the mold of who I want. You're not fitting the mold of what a woman should look like to me because I want. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm attracted like that. I think it's a different side of when you're not sexually attracted to that gender and you're still having this hatred towards black women. Where do you think that comes from?
I feel like I said, I feel like it comes from where it comes from with everybody else. Like, black women are the least protected. We're constantly, berated. Like, we literally just sat here and talked about how we're berated. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like at the end of the day, no matter what community you come from, we all live in a patriarchal, capitalistic, misogynistic society. We're all raised in these same parameters. So I don't feel like your hatred from black women comes from anywhere differently than it does with everybody else. Nigga, that's what we're taught. First of all, you're taught to hate black people. Anti-blackness is taught to all of us. Asian, white, black, homosexual. It's taught to all of us.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think within your community, it depends. It really depends on your experiences because some of the misogyny is like we always hear the awkward black guy, right? Oh, I black women don't like me. So some misogyny can be rooted from that. Could be misogyny coming from you've experienced trauma from your mother. So and your mother's the first introduction to a black woman. So then you may project that onto other black women. Like there's a bunch of different places where misogyny can
with those
start.
I feel like that, like you said, that's more of a personal, and I don't know you to know that.
No, I know.
You know what I mean? So I don't know that person to really say
why. I know, but I'm just saying from this standpoint, I'm just curious where you think it may have come from because that sounded very vicious. And is one thing like if you're disappointed in her because maybe you want it better for her, but that's what he was saying. As far as like, weird way to express that because at the end of the day, if she's pregnant, then so what?
Yeah, like I don't have to fit in your box, like you said, of what you believe that I should be. Like, he said it in more of the clip of, she don't owe us anything, but we was all rooting for her.
So then you blah, blah, blah. So then that to me, that's a very contradictory statement.
Very much so.
You're saying she does not owe you anything, but you're saying you were rooting for her to do
basically
what?
Now we're disappointed because she got pregnant. Like, what does that have to do with you?
They're on strike anyway. They're not recording. They're not doing any movies right now.
I feel like, too, like, I saw a lot of people in the comments saying, like, oh, he's just saying what we all was thinking and blah, blah, blah in regards to Chloe. And I'm like...
That she's ugly without makeup?
I never thought that. Like, and if you thought that, you a hater. Straight up. Like, only thing that I've heard people say is that they felt like her image was inauthentic. Now, that I could go with, but that's not what you was saying. You going into she ugly and she lame and she this, and you don't even know this girl.
From the suburbs, all that. And when does pregnancy end your career?
It didn't end it for Cardi B. It didn't end it for Serena. It didn't end it for... the list goes on.
The only criticism that I have of her is
of Halle or Chloe?
Chloe.
Okay.
Yes, Chloe. I sometimes get it mixed up. The only criticism I have of her, and it's not really even a criticism, is that she seems like she's trying to follow in Beyonce's footsteps a little bit too close to where there's just a lot of comparison. And I know but again, that's not even a criticism. Mm-hmm. You can see that you can see that Michael Jackson influenced Justin Timberlake. Mm-hmm. You can see influences. Mm-hmm. That's the only criticism I see. I've seen I can see that she's maybe trying to follow and emulate a little bit too much to the point where I don't know who you are. Mm-hmm. And that would kind of stand in line with what he said was that, you come across as a little inauthentic, which the same criticism of Beyonce was the same thing. Came across as inauthentic. Mm-hmm. Okay. If that's the worst thing you can say about somebody, I mean, but you're not really doing much. Like, if that's the one criticism, that means you're doing something right. So I just don't, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm out the loop. Maybe I'm too old. I don't get it. I don't know who this Funky Dineva guy is, where he come from. He looks like he was on Fox Soul or whatever it is. For one, it's not going to ruin the Disney bag. For two, they're not doing any movies because they're on strike, and we support the strike. Please, y'all, we are in the camp of supporting creators and writers and all of that.
Absolutely.
So, what is she ruining? She just did The Little Mermaid.
Hello.
And honestly, I don't know if this is unpopular or not. I didn't like it.
I liked it.
I didn't like it. And it's not because of her. I just think Disney didn't do a good job with it. They just need to stop doing live movies altogether. But the bottom line is...
That's a whole nother conversation.
The bottom line is she's a brand. She's in the Disney ecosystem. Mm-hmm. She can't do no wrong. What can she do wrong? And if you think that who she gets pregnant by will ruin her bag, who else do we judge by that standard? Did Jay-Z knocking up Beyonce ruin her bag?
Nobody's gonna judge a man off like, that's your baby mama, your career is over. Like, what? Like, is it? I mean, and as much resources as they have today, it's not gonna ruin her body. Get out of here. If she wanted to get done up, she can get done up. I just don't. I'm trying to find the angle of how her getting, if you want to say trapped by old boy is bad. Do you feel like men trap women with babies? It's possible. Yeah, I mean, it happens. Are we talking about this particular case? Well, do you feel like that's what it is in this case? I think it takes two people to have a baby. In any instance. But I do believe, I'm a firm believer, that there are men out there that will get women pregnant to slow them down. And I just feel like that in this instance because of the song that he came out. Yeah, the song that he came out with about being jealous of her career and stuff like that. I'm like, it's kind of shaky to me. I don't know. It is. It does kind of come across like I want to make sure that we have a tie together. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they're still in a relationship. It ain't like she left him. See, but the thing I don't like was it seemed like along the way, everybody has tried to say that she should not be with him. Yeah. Like Amanda Seales said it. Like, oh, you could do better. Like, it's like, it's this, like a lot of people that express their feelings and express themselves on the internet are very inconsistent. In one breath, people will say, do you be happy? Don't care what nobody else say. Like, don't care about what the internet say. As long as you're happy, do whatever makes you happy.
And then when people do whatever they make them happy, oh no, that person is not right for you. You can do better. What was it? You don't owe us nothing, but we were rooting for you.
You don't owe us nothing, but you should have did what we wanted you to do.
Man, like
that's basically what you're saying. And then like it's like, especially with that, like as far as like who you dating or whatever, it's like people want you to like they see her like picking like a Will Smith. They want her to go the Will Smith route of the clean cut whatever. Like who?
But I hate it. First you say I don't care who you sleep with, but then when somebody sleeps with somebody, then you drag them for sleeping with that person. Mm-hmm. Y'all inconsistent. That's what I'm. A lot of this is inconsistency. Are y'all worried about who people sleep with, or y'all not?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And this being like people have placed her on a pedestal, and I think the biggest disappointment with who she chose to date is honestly because people were using her against her sister, and once she no longer fit that perfect mold of somebody that you could use to put against her sister, then it was like, now all of a sudden she picked the wrong person and da-da-da-da, this and this and that. Because everybody else was like, Chloe is promiscuous and doing all of this. But Hallie, she's the one, be like Hallie. Like, you know what I mean? Like they use us against each other. And then if you don't move the way that fits into that narrative, you part of the problem now. You get what I'm saying?
I don't care about this topic. Let's move on to the next one. This is stupid. He's stupid.
Come on now,
no. I don't know. I think back to the original question or the point that you made about homosexual men and misogyny.
Mm-hmm.
Am I about to say this? I think I am about to say this. Is that a thing? Because I don't even want to talk about this subject. I want to talk about that. As a black woman, do you feel like that is a thing? Have you experienced misogyny from homosexual men?
Yes.
Do you think that it's odd? And again, we're just having an honest conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody might drag me for this. I don't care. Why is it that what's the best way to put this? Why is it, if that is the case, isn't it kind of hypocritical or odd that it seems like that when majority of the men that are homosexual or say that they're homosexual take on the mannerisms of black women?
No, I don't.
And when I'm saying as in this, because
no matter what your mannerisms are or your orientation is, you still move through this world as a male, and you still, at the end of the day, regardless, like yes, you are. It's kind of like you are a marginalized group, but at the end of the day, there's still privilege in being a man.
Correct,
and you can't erase that.
But you're showing hatred and violence and viciousness towards black women, but then you're showing up in spaces emulating what black women do and what black women say, how black women act, how black women are. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying all homosexual men. I'm saying the homosexual men that have shown consistent misogyny. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
That you're saying that, you're showing this violence and hatred towards black women, but then yet you are emulating a black woman.
I feel like it's the same way how black women can have violence and hatred toward other black women. It's internalized misogyny, internalized anti-blackness, internalized, self-hate. Like, I don't feel like it's any different. I just feel like, as one of the girls, a lot of times they be thinking that they could get a pass. And that's not the case anymore. But I feel like as far as the relationship between black women and homosexual men, I feel like it's definitely a give take, but there's definitely boundaries and lines that can be overstepped.
Yeah.
As far as when it comes to respect.
I think this is a bigger conversation. I think that we move off the table for a different time.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like in that space, I feel like, and we talked about this off air, I feel like Black women are very inclusive. And, when it came to the transgender conversation, I think it was kind of the same thing. We're very inclusive, but then there's also boundaries that may have been crossed. And, again, in this situation, I just feel like I just don't understand the angle.
I feel like for me, my issue with it, and it's always been on whatever angle when it comes to intersectionality, to me, whatever the angle is, whenever a boundary or a line is crossed, I feel like that shouldn't be a license for your hatred to come out. Because I feel like, but I feel like that's what ends up happening. And then people want to, I feel like it takes away from the conversation. Because at the end of the day, you could claim to be as inclusive as you want to be, but when somebody does something you don't like, if that's the hatred that comes out, that's how you've been felt. Like, you know what I mean? Well, like you start seeing the F-bomb getting dropped. You start getting, you know what I'm saying, disrespectful. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's where that internalized hatred comes out. And so it's like, now the conversation is not necessarily about you being wrong and what you did wrong. Because if I respond with homophobia, the conversation is over to me personally. And I feel like that's what happens a lot of the time, is that people use that as a license to because now you wronged me, so now I'm in the right to say whatever I want to say and do whatever I want to do. And that's not the case for me personally. So it's a very layered conversation. I feel like when you're dealing with intersectionality, it's always going to be that. One day we're gonna have that conversation. I just think a lot of the inclusiveness and the openness and I just think a lot of it really when you really boil down to it, it's all BS. I think a lot of it is. I think a lot of it is more performant rather than it is genuine. Well, again, and that's why I said in these situations,
when you see, that's what I'm saying. When you see how people truly do feel, it is not coming from a place of respect and understanding. It's more or less coming from a place of, I want to be politically correct. And half the time is because I don't want to be canceled or I don't want to be like I'm not accepted. So in order, and we live in a very capitalistic society, and we have to understand that there is a monetary gain to feel like you are aligned or left or progressive or inclusive or open. Because if you are not, then it's like you are cutting off a total demographic of people. And then people are going to look at you. And it also works on the other side. Like what happened to Bud Light. If you are now overly politically correct, now you have a whole side of people that are going to not purchase and support your product. So it's, to me, it really comes down to money. And, again, that's a deeper conversation. Like Target and all these other things, like we think that, they're being so inclusive. They're after your money.
Well, people, like you said, people are on board until it financially makes sense, or when it's beneficial for them.
When it's not
same thing, like even
them.
with freeing the slaves, that wasn't about nothing but winning a war. Like, again, once it's beneficial for you, like it's not about what you truly believe.
Target,
it's about being beneficial. If it's beneficial to you.
Didn't care about Juneteenth until Juneteenth was profitable. Didn't care about Pride until Pride was profitable. That's what I'm saying. It's performative.
I agree.
So
absolutely. All right. Well, next up on the docket, speaking of misogyny. Man, we got Mr. Irv Gotti yet again speaking on Ashanti. If you missed the first interview, he did an interview with Nori on Drink Champs, and he talked about his relationship with Ashanti and how he felt slighted when she got with Nelly. Mind you, he was cheating on his wife with Ashanti. But he was very disrespectful in that interview, calling her
out of her name,
multiple times, all kind of stuff.
Sharing their sexual history,
yes,
which may not have, was all alleged, may not have been true, because I think Ashanti denied a lot of it. So
it was a lot to it. So in response, Fat Joe came out and basically kind of like checked him and said it was unnecessary and he was out of pocket.
Well, yeah, and Fat Joe stepped up and checked him. And it really wasn't really a check.
I won't even say yeah.
It was more just like saying like that wasn't a cool move.
That wasn't cool.
Because Ja Rule did not really say nothing during the interview.
Yeah.
And Nori didn't say nothing during the interview. And
Nobody
let
said.
him
Kind of just let him rock.
And yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, Fat Joe responded, defended her pretty much. Mm-hmm. And then now Irv Gotti is back on Drink Champs doing an interview saying how Fat Joe ain't his brother no more.
Mm-hmm. And let's listen to that clip really quick.
Joe was my brother.
Right.
I do not feel Fat Joe is my brother
anymore.
Yeah, and I'm like, I guess it's a cancer trait. Some people will call it
it's a sign. You talking about cancer? Okay.
Because once you show me who you are,
right,
or you speak negatively about me,
right,
it's over.
But his defense, right?
His defense and Ja's defense is they do shows with Ashanti and that's little sis or whatever. But Rule will never come out and say Gotti's a sucker.
Right. Right.
Like, Fat Joe, you call.
Yo, we should talk about the great.
Hold on. Let me get this thing. Listen, Fat Joe said, "Oh, Gotti's a sucker."
I didn't think he's calling you a sucker. I thought he. How did that take you? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it goes on and on and on. Mm-hmm. We don't have to. You guys get the. You get the
gist. I know one thing that he did say also was that he was saying that Fat Joe was saying, "Oh, his excuse is if I'm your brother, I should be able to tell you when you're wrong," and he didn't necessarily agree with that.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
He did. He said it in that clip later on.
That he also said that Fat Joe's excuse was that he's close to Ashanti, so that he had to kind of say something. So,
but he also said that too, and I'm like, he ain't wrong about that.
Well, you know what? Before we delve into it, we do have to give it some type of context. In New York culture, calling somebody that name, calling them a sucker or whatever like that, that is considered like pretty extreme. I don't know if Fat Joe called him a sucker, but I'm just telling you that in those days, if you call somebody a sucker, that's basically like calling them the B word or something. Back then.
Okay.
I'm not. Everybody's different, so that's not to excuse what he did. I'm just to give some type of context because we have to give context. So, but go ahead.
My question is, do men hold each other accountable? Because it's seeming like, I feel like men a lot of times will brag about how long they friendships last and, oh, girls go to Miami and then they come back and they ain't friends. But is the reason y'all friendships lasting because y'all don't hold each other accountable or tell each other when y'all wrong? Because I know women, we do. If you moving wrong or moving funny or whatever,
that's a lie.
We gonna say something.
That's a lie. Don't say
we
that.
Don't?
Lie. No, y'all don't. No, y'all don't.
I do.
You do. Y'all don't.
You can vouch for me.
That's a
okay. And my friends is gonna do the same thing.
There's a whole running joke about women not taking accountability. You've seen the memes. Come on now. Please don't play that game. You may.
That's crazy.
You ain't seen the memes where it be like, I would rather die than take accountability or say I'm sorry. Me and you had this whole conversation about, and matter of fact, we
ain't talking about women. I'm asking you. I asked the question.
I know you asked the question.
Do men hold each other accountable or not?
But I'm responding to what you said. You said, well, we do. Y'all don't.
See how you trying to deflect?
Because it's the truth. Y'all don't.
You deflecting.
Y'all don't in general. And let me make sure we keep that clear because y'all be trying to clip up these things.
Okay, this is the thing. We hold each other accountable with each other. Now, if you're saying women don't take accountability in their relationship or with their partner, okay, I can't go against that. I'm saying within the friendship, if you're not moving right within the friendship, I'm going to say something and it shouldn't be the end of our friendship.
I can only go based off experience. From the experience that I've seen, I see y'all ending friendships over things like not going to somebody's birthday party.
And see, this is the thing. Y'all keep saying it's about not going to the birthday party, but that's not what it's about. It's about the fact that you show up for everybody else, and I show up for you you can show up for everybody else, but you can't show up for me.
Okay.
And so it's deeper than not showing up to the birthday party.
So when we're talking about holding people accountable, that can't be a conversation?
What do you mean he can't? This is the thing. It's already been a conversation. Like, and that's the thing. Like, people aren't, as far as like women, we're not going to continue to allow the same behavior. Like, I will see men who know they friends on. He be like, yeah, you didn't show up for me. It's something that I really would have wanted him to show up for, and they just going about their business. That's fine. If that's how y'all want to move, that's cool. And that's why I've said it before. I feel like women set boundaries for themselves. They exercise boundaries for themselves. And I feel like men are jealous of that because they can't do that without looking. Y'all can't do that without looking like a sucker or whatever. Like, you see what I'm saying? Or losing friendships. Y'all too scared to lose friendships.
No, we move differently because when we have time invested, we're not ready to throw something away just because of a disagreement. That's what it is. The same thing in marriage. There's a reason why 70% of women, 70% of divorces are filed by the women. Men are typically, they'll look at it and say, I've logically invested this time and energy and space, and I'm not ready to give up on it this quickly. But women, I'm not happy, I'm out.
Well, because a lot of times y'all benefiting.
Benefiting from divorce?
No, I'm saying y'all benefit in staying. If a woman is in a relationship and she's feel like she's being done wrong, of course you're not gonna be the one to file for divorce. Like,
why? But you don't think men are unhappy in their marriages?
I'm sure there are some. If you're willing to stay, that's your business.
But look at the majority of the reasons on why the divorces are filed. Differences, growing apart. It's not like a cheating, infidelity. It's we're growing apart. That's your feelings. And I think that's the difference. Men, when it comes to relationships, maybe are a little bit more logical of, I have known this man since 6th grade. If he did not show up for my birthday a couple times, let's talk about it. But I'm not throwing away my friendship just because of that.
And that's fine.
And I think women do. And that's fine. I think we just move differently. But I think the question is though, when we're talking about accountability, men, when it comes to accountability, we have been talked to like that our whole entire lives. Whether it be sports, whether it be our fathers, whether it be whatever, we are more adapted to straight talk, getting directly to the point, and maybe having some heated conversation without feeling some kind of way about it. So in this situation with Irv was just in his feelings. Irv was in his feelings. He felt like he's been in a situation where people have co-signed everything he's done his whole entire career, where he can do whatever he wants because he was the boss. So when somebody finally tells him that he's wrong, he's had so many yes men around him that he cannot accept when somebody tells him that he's wrong because he's wrong.
Absolutely.
He's dead wrong. And Josh should have told him, and he didn't. So he'll use them people like, oh, Ja didn't tell me I was wrong.
Yeah, that's the main thing he said. I feel like because Ja was sitting right there, nigga didn't say nothing. And my thing is, even if you didn't say, like, if you let the man tell his story, but I'm like, him calling her out her name, all of that.
That's wrong.
Like, you ain't gonna say, hey, bro, chill.
That's wrong.
Nothing.
And you know what? Ja did kind of try to, but he didn't do it. He didn't do it enough. But Irv, at the same time, he put Ja in a bad situation.
Absolutely.
And he put Nori in a bad situation.
Absolutely.
But the bottom line is, when you wrong. Somebody just should have stepped up. And as a man, why would you go on another platform and talk about somebody that you dated 20 years ago? Yeah. And that's what Fat Joe was saying. And I'm sorry, that is some sucker shit. It is. 20 years ago, you still talking about her?
So you would have said something to your mans?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've seen me in action hold other people accountable.
Oh, absolutely.
You've seen me behind the scenes hold other people accountable. When I see you doing something wrong, I will speak up and say something. And wherever the chips lie, the chips lie.
I think for me, the only standing that he had was, from what he says, he never got a call. And what he had to say about the situation, he said on his platform publicly, but didn't say it to him privately. But again, I don't like how people like to do they dirt publicly, but then want
He never got a call from Fat Joe?
Yeah. So, like, I could see,
So why didn't he call him?
No, but I'm saying, like, he felt a way about him airing out how he felt about what he did.
I got you.
Publicly instead of talking to him about it. But I'm like, you talked about her publicly.
Correct.
But you want the correction to come in private.
Correct.
So I'm like, even on that, I can't really get with it because it's like you was on air airing her business and calling her the B word and this and that.
Right.
But you want him to call you privately and tell you, bruh, that was some.
Well, but my point is if you felt some kind of way about how he handled it, then why didn't you call him? That's my thing.
Oh, well, apparently, according to what he said,
about somebody,
once you talk, I'm done, and I had to. You call me a sucker, like I gotta leave it alone, or it's gonna get crazy.
All right, bro. You called her out of her name multiple times.
Basically, that's why he's saying he leaving it alone because it's gonna get crazy.
Just okay, and we gonna keep going back to this, and this is again back. I will beat this over the head. Men have to be honest. You're hurt. You're hurt. Mm-hmm. Just say it. You were hurt. You were hurt that she left, that she got with Nelly. You were jealous, even though you were still married. The whole nine. Whatever it is. You were hurt. So these things that are coming out of your mouth, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. You're hurt. If you were not hurt, it would not come out the way that it's coming out. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, you wouldn't even be talking about it. The fact that you're still hurt 20 years ago tells me that maybe you really did love that girl.
I think it was more about control.
Own little sick. What I was saying, in his own little sick way, because he probably thinks that I made her.
Exactly, I made you, and you had the audacity
to go off and be with somebody else, even though I was married. And again, that's just very narcissistic. Even though I don't like using that word, but in this situation, it does apply.
It is.
You're married, but yet you want to control another woman, and you don't want her to be with anybody else. But that's what I tell you. Men are territorial, and men do not want to be honest about their emotions. Because if he were to come out and say that, it would sound crazy.
I see it all the time, like how like women will be in these situationships with somebody who ain't gonna be in a relationship or don't want to be in a relationship, but don't want you to be with nobody else,
and then try to sabotage them.
Like they don't doing it. Like they don't want to be with you, but they want you on hold because they don't want you messing with nobody else. No
facts. We know somebody very well that's still doing that. That's going around and bad mouthing somebody because they don't want anybody else to be with her, even though he ain't gonna be. So it's kind of like that. If I can't be with you, can't nobody be with you.
Clock that T. Clock it, because you ain't lying on that one.
I don't like that shit for sure, bro. I don't like that shit.
And that's sucker behavior. I'm telling you, that's sucker behavior.
Yep. Yeah.
Because you don't. Again, and it's, and this is why we got to teach boys not to objectify girls at an early age, because you're looking at her like she's a possession,
your property,
right? So then you feel like when I'm calling her out of her name, it doesn't mean nothing because she's only an object. She's a possession. She's not a human being. You know what I mean? Or like I said, he was doing some sucker shit even back then where, and y'all need to look this up. The whole "So Into You" record thing. She was originally on the record. Then he didn't clear the record because I to this day I still don't know why. Maybe he felt like Fab was trying to holler at her, or maybe she felt like she went around his back and tried to do it right. And then that's why on the record you can hear there's Ashanti's vocals and there's Tamia's vocals. It's hella weird. The same thing with
I'm Real.
And it's like.
That was supposed to be her record, but he took it. I don't know if they was beefing, funking, whatever. Like basically, like I said, he had control over her because I have control over your career. Yeah. So if you're not moving how I want you to move, or you get whatever. Oh,
you know what? Dang, man. There we go. I'm glad you said that. Where this is really coming from, this is I put the puzzle pieces together. Where this is coming from is Ashanti re-recorded her record.
Which one?
The one with Foolish on it.
Oh.
That's why he was so mad.
Sure did.
Because remember, he said, we created magic together. How could you do this?
Crazy.
That's where it came from.
Crazy.
That's where it came from. He was upset because of that. That's why he was calling her out of her name. Because he's thinking that he's going to be able to get the residuals from these masters and the records playing over and over again. And she re-recorded the whole record. Because that's the loophole. If you want to get your masters, you can
Yep.
re-record it.
That's what JoJo did with her first albums.
I think Taylor Swift did it.
And she just re-recorded them because they wasn't on Apple Music or nothing.
Yeah. Yep. I think Tank may have done so to some of his other records as well. So artists are finding ways around it because you were playing a gatekeeper.
Yep.
And in those days, that's how the record execs worked, is if you want to get on, you got to sleep with me. Or if you want to get on, you got to be my girlfriend, or whatever all of it is, right?
We saw Rick Ross do it at that time with that one art.
Singing.
With that,
Yeah. Same thing. So, and these old men are thinking it's the old guard, and people, they're not going for it. So she said, bump you, I'm going to go re-record it so I ain't got to go through you no more.
And that's that on that.
Yeah. So that's where that's where some of the viciousness came from. I think he's still not over the fact that she was with Nelly. Because it's kind of like this, like, and again, this is not how I think, but I understand how men think. It's kind of like, I bring a girl to the party, and then at the party she meets somebody that she ends up being with, and you're like, well, if it wasn't for me, you would have never met him.
Oh well.
And that's where some of the jealousy comes from. So it's like he's thinking, I brought you into the industry. Because you were in the industry, you were able to meet Nelly. If it wasn't for me, you would have never met Nelly. How could you do this to me?
And you know what? As insult to injury, all it is, and Nelly and Ashanti back together. So that's what was funny, because Nori was like, you brought them back together. You did all of this. You was so mad about her leaving you for Nelly, and all of this controversy. Her and Nelly done ended up back together. I'm screaming.
And what's funny was we actually talked about that on that podcast when they had the verses, because Nelly was over there trying to talk a little.
You
too
could
much.
Already tell. I was like,
bro, that's that. I want that old thing back. Look that you got in your eyes.
And got it.
Hey, but I can't blame him though.
I am a sucker for second chance love, because me and my husband was a second chance love story, so I'm always here for him.
I don't blame Nelly at all, man. Look, I think anybody in that position would have been trying to holler at Ashanti, man, because she's still fine.
She got even finer. I ain't even gonna lie.
Good Lord. That girl, she ain't aging a bit.
At all. She out here living her best life. Speaking of relationships.
Oh, relationship advice. Yes. One of my
Let's get into this relationship advice. So today we got an interesting one. Let me get into it. All right, let's get into it. So for today's relationship advice, my husband is mad that I let my 16-year-old son bathe our 2-year-old daughter. Backstory. Last night I had a really bad migraine and my husband was at work. I asked my son, 16, if he could give his sister, 2, a bath since my head was killing me. He was perfectly fine with this, and when my husband got home, he found me asleep. He woke me up asking if I had made dinner or given our daughter a bath yet. I told him that I had a migraine, so our son gave her a bath. He screamed at me, saying that this was not okay for him to do unsupervised. He said that my migraine was no excuse to not take care of her. Then my son hears him yelling at me and tries to get him to stop. He hasn't spoken to either of us since. What should I do? Edit. My son is not related to my husband. So this is a stepson.
Okay, so I'm sorry. So the father was upset with the wife for letting her son bathe his 2-year-old daughter.
Yes.
From another relationship. Yes.
The son is from another relationship.
But the daughter is with
them together.
Okay.
So my question is, do you feel like it is inappropriate for a 16-year-old stepson to bathe your 2-year-old daughter?
No. No, I don't.
I don't either.
And if I get dragged for that, I'm sorry. I don't. And I'm sorry. This is a trigger warning.
Yeah.
Because the only way that I can see why that would be a problem is if you were molested yourself.
Right.
And I got to keep it real there. I'm sorry. I know, and I'm not trying to. This is not a joking matter. I'm not trying to joke. So if I'm smiling, it's not because I'm joking. I understand that could be triggering for somebody that was compromised.
Or somebody close to them that was.
Yes. But in a normal circumstance, I do not see a reason why, because I don't even like even using the word step. I don't see a reason why a brother could not bathe a 2-year-old.
Right.
I not unless that 16-year-old has shown signs of possibly abusing the 2-year-old.
Right.
But then that's a whole nother ball game.
Well, I think just in general, there's like this, I won't say unwritten rule, but definitely not when you're 2. But I know there's a certain age for young girls where it's like, oh no, you can't be doing that no more.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You can't, you know, every girl knows where you get to that age where like you too big to be, you know, sitting on your dad's lap, or you know, you get to that age where that starts to happen.
Yep, I agree.
So I mean, I'm not saying that people don't have their reasons. And you know what's so crazy is sometimes when you would get those talks about, oh, don't do this or don't do that, it's because they knew, like you said, they knew for a fact that uncle or this person or whatever. And it's like, you policing me and this person shouldn't even be here. That's really the cold part about it. Like, this person should not even be at the cookout.
Right.
In the first place.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. Yep.
That's the craziest part. That's what's crazy to me.
Yeah. Black families, we really got to start having these kind of conversations. And I don't know if that person's black or not, but we're talking about black culture. But we do tend to protect the predators and the offenders instead of making it right, calling it out. Like, for the life of me, I don't understand why we allow those people to still operate. Like, if you know somebody in your family molested somebody, why would you not say something? You're going to allow that person to possibly do it again.
Yeah, they wouldn't be around.
But, and I know there's a lot of people that are like afraid of the fallout. Like, if I do say something, then I'm going to be the one that, you know, that broke up the family. And I've actually heard of people having fallouts because they were the ones that said something. And they're like, how could you do this? Why would you say that? Why would you call the police? Why would you? And it's like, why would I not?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if that person is not actively seeking help and they are around children, and, you know, for instance, just for a case in point, if I was molested, why would I want somebody else to be as well? Like, after going through something like that, why would you want that to happen to anybody else?
Yeah.
And why would you? And again, I'm saying this with as much empathy and a compassion as possible, because I know it's not an easy thing to do. I know it's not an easy thing to do, but I just think that as if we say that it takes a village, that as a family units need to do a better job of having those conversations, where if anybody makes you feel uncomfortable, you should have the room to be able to speak that, say that, have open dialogue, and be heard. Because a lot of times if somebody will say so, oh no, he didn't do that. Oh no, I don't know what you're talking about. You need to go ahead. And it's like you're dismissing them.
I think in this situation, I don't feel like the mom was wrong, but I also don't feel like the dad was wrong for feeling away, if that makes sense. Like, it needs to be, it's a conversation that needs to be had. Like,
Yeah,
if you feel uncomfortable with this, why? You know what I'm saying? That's the conversation. Why do you feel uncomfortable with this?
Unpack it.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the part that doesn't happen. I feel like a lot of times when we talk about these scenarios, and even in real life when we're in these scenarios, the conversation is about which side is right and which side is wrong, and it's not about unpacking and meeting in the middle of like the underlying issue.
Having the conversation. And my thing of it is like, if it was just his child, I would maybe understand a little bit better. But it's a child they have together. So why would he think that she would allow their child to be in danger? That to me shows that there may be some abuse in the past in his part. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, yeah, why for one, why would you not trust your wife? For two, why would you not trust your stepson? And for three, why would you not trust them with your child that you guys created together? Like, again, if it was a child that you brought in from another relationship, sure, because that's your child. You know what I mean? Obviously, when you marry, then it's a family unit. But it obviously your flesh and blood, you're obviously going to have a little bit more affirmity for them. So I don't know. I think, like you said, those are some of the conversations that need to be had. Mm-hmm. Like that's why you need to unpack your childhood with whoever you're marrying or you're in a relationship with. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, sometimes triggers don't pop up until you're in the situation. Mm-hmm. So I would like to say they should have had the conversation beforehand, but sometimes it doesn't work.
Like who would think to? I feel like now we're having more conversations because there's so many scenarios rolling around that it is. I feel like there's a positive to it because it does spark.
Now it comes out. Now you can have the
conversation. You can have the conversation. Like me and my husband have had a lot of conversations based off a social media meme or whatever is trending at the moment. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, like what do you think? And then we'll talk about it. Like, you know what I mean? So there is the positives to it where it is sparking conversations. But then on the other hand, it could get toxic.
Well,
on the internet,
it's well, not even that. In the house, they said that he's not talking to either one of them.
Right, and again, that's not not the answer.
That's you shutting down. So that tells me that there's some places that he needs to be healed from.
But there's some missing parts in there, because at the end of the day, she said the son came in, and obviously there was an altercation between him and the son. So I mean, again, the small details we don't know. So, but just from what we have. Mm-hmm. You can't end
got
it like that.
Got it. Yeah. Because you guys also think like, how does that make the son feel? Mm-hmm. Being accused of like, as a child, that could really stick with you. Like, wow, like you would really think I would do that? Like, you really think that I would? You know what I mean? Like, as innocent and you know, me and you talk about this off air. As I'm blessed to be able to have an innocent childhood, where a lot of these things I never had to think about or have to worry about. Mm-hmm. So I tend to look at these things from that place. Like, if it's just children, then it's just children. Like, I look at it as innocent, but I'm not naive to not know that there is abuse that does happen. Mm-hmm. So from somebody that came from a background of abuse, you're going to look at it like I'm more alert to the abuse or what may even look like abuse. Because there's memes and conversations and even I'll even say even in my history, like my daughter, like there was a time where I had a conversation with somebody and they asked me, well, why is she on your lap? And I'm just like, and she was like, I forgot how old she was, maybe 7, 8. And I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, why would you think that it's something sexual? Well, it just looks inappropriate. Why is that the first thing that you're going to? And at that time, I wasn't thinking about it. I'm like, well, now I'm like, okay, the first thing you're thinking about because there's at some point in your life, maybe you were exposed to something like that.
Even if you weren't exposed, it's taught to you. Like, you're taught that that's inappropriate. So even if I wasn't exposed, like I said, when girls get to a certain age, that's what's ingrained in them. That's what they're told. Mm-hmm. They're told when you're, looking like you acting fast or when you look like you're doing something inappropriate. So we're hyper aware of that. And again, you pass that down. Mm-hmm. So now that's your mindset of, if I was told that it's inappropriate for me to sit on my dad's lap at around 7 years old and I see a 7-year-old sitting on somebody's lap, I'm going to feel like it's inappropriate. I think another thing that we don't talk about either is that a lot of abuse that happens, but from other kids. And a lot of times, like you go to like a family function and it'd be like, all right, y'all, the kids go, the adults want because the adults want to drink, they want to smoke, they want to do what they want to do.
That's true.
And then you're leaving kids of different ages together.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And again, a lot of times it's like a cycle because kids repeat what's done to them. Mm-hmm. So if they don't know any better, they're going to repeat. Like, it's just this ongoing cycle.
That makes sense.
And I've seen it. So that's the thing. So
yeah, no, I think you make very valid.
So it's like I said, it's valid on both sides.
Yeah.
And then you got to think, like, this is a 16-year-old and their kid is 2. So I don't know how long they've been together, but obviously he's not been in this boy's life that long. Mm-hmm. If y'all have a 2-year-old together and her son is 16, so it's I don't see, like, I feel like it would be different if he's been around for a long time to where there's that
trust,
and connection.
I can see that.
So
yeah, and maybe there should have been a little bit of better communication on her part. Maybe, hey, I'm tired, I'm gonna have such and such, bathe them, And then maybe then it could have been like, no, I don't want you to do that. And then you could have the conversation there. But again, I mean, I would have assumed that it would have been okay too. But, that's why you have to sometimes have to over communicate.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes as the person that, even if I was the one that felt like it was inappropriate, I feel like you have to give your partner the benefit of the doubt sometimes. Like sometimes it'd be like, we be too quick to feel like somebody should think the same way that we think. Like that could have been, even if you feel like the decision was wrong, that doesn't mean it wasn't an innocent decision.
Correct. Yep.
So
yep. I agree. So in this situation, what do you, as relationship advice, what is the relationship advice that we're giving in this situation?
I'd say talk to your partner. I don't feel like it's not about being right or wrong on either side. It's about coming to an actual solution that works for both of y'all.
Go to therapy.
Yeah, that
immediately, because that response is telling me that there needs to be some things that are unpacked with somebody that is outside of the household.
That, yes, absolutely.
Because trying to do that within and try to work that, no, you guys need possibly go to family counseling. You guys need somebody to help talk you through that situation,
to facilitate the conversation.
To
a lot of times that's what's needed.
Facilitate, yes,
absolutely,
and coach you through it. Yep. So, and you guys know we are big advocates for therapy and mental health.
And I ain't even been going. Let me just be transparent right now. I'm really like, we talk. We always, we have our talk, and we be going through a lot. And I'm like, bro, I'm not even going to therapy.
Just because life has been too busy.
No, I don't have no excuse because I have a lot of time.
Okay.
And a lot of times, most of the therapy is video.
Oh yeah.
At least with Kaiser, they do a lot of the video conference, so it really ain't no excuse. It's just one of those things that you put on the back burner.
Yeah.
And
gotta self-care is important.
Yeah.
Now, and I know that we preach being selfish, but I think that message has also become toxic. Selfishness has been almost like preached, and I think we have to realize that like self-care does not always need to be selfish. I think you need to prioritize yourself and your needs. But if you're in a unit community, right? So I think appreciate you for being vulnerable, and definitely encourage you to get back into counseling. I think it's necessary to have some type of outlet to be able to explore your thoughts, your feelings, express yourself, right? That's why, as we're joking and playing around, but like we're talking about men holding men accountable. I'm in 2 men's groups right now. I'm in a men's group I meet with on Sundays every morning, and then I'm in another men's group that we meet every 3rd Sunday, where that is what we do. We hold each other accountable. We talk, we have open dialogue about where we've missed the mark, about where we can improve, on how to improve. We do Bible study together. Like we are all locked in and saying we want to be better men, and let's hold each other accountable to be that. So I think it's extremely important to have community. And if you're not in a group, and if you see that there's maybe some things that you could, we all need a coach. I think sometimes people think therapy is like, oh, like there's like something wrong. No, sometimes you just need somebody to help you talk some things through, point some things out to you that maybe you're not aware of, or just maintenance.
Yeah.
Right? Because life is very stressful, and I think life is not meant to be done alone. And I think a lot of times that we feel like that you're going to get this badge for doing things and being independent and whatever. But I just feel like we were not created to be independent. We were created to be interdependent. So, and if you got to go to therapy, don't, for those that are listening, I know that therapy has kind of been like a buzzword, like, oh, get a therapist. Like, no, like seriously, if you really need to get a therapist, right, get one and be consistent, because, you take you wherever you go, right?
Absolutely.
And again, it doesn't. Nothing has to be wrong.
That's the part.
I think we just have this. Oh, if you've seen a therapist and something's wrong. Oh, something wrong with you. You got some mental health problem. No, it doesn't. Like if you go to premarital counseling, does it mean something's wrong?
No.
I
think too, you really got to get into the habit, like you said, of not waiting until something's wrong. And I feel like a lot of times we get ourselves into like a into the deficit, and then we try to self-care our way out of it. Like, it's emergency self-care. Like, once you're already there, now it's like, let me do all this emergency self-care to try to bring myself out of it. Like, no, you should already be preventative. Like, it's not necessarily about, like, life be life, and we'll say that all the time, but it will help you effectively manage stress, which will kill you. Just be all the way. This is about your health, because
a lot of your health issues show up from stress.
Yep, you see what I'm saying? So
that's true.
It doesn't necessarily have to be this, like, oh, I had a death in the family, or I had, like, it doesn't have to be something big,
right,
in a way. Right. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. It can be just regular job stress, regular, people talk about how hard it is being parents, how hard it is, taking care of your parents, like, dealing with your parents getting older, and the idea of just them getting old. They might not be sick or going through anything right now, but like like, it makes it real. Like, damn, my parents is really getting up there in age, and just sitting with those feelings. So I do it.
All good points. So we got to make sure that we are prioritizing community and prioritizing just being better, whether it be counseling, whether it be therapy, whether it be doing things like gym, walking. I mean, there's just a bunch of things that we can do, like I said, whether it be self-care. But I really think that there's power in community, for sure.
Absolutely.
Power in community, for sure. So for the men that are listening, please get in groups. Please get into some type of accountability circle, Bible study, whatever it is that you want to do, because it's worth it. I mean, I am a big advocate for men being better men. That we have gotten and kind of taken this red pill where we're blaming other people for our problems. But the bottom line is that, again, you take you wherever you go, and you work on you. Period. You work on you and be around other people that want similar things, or again, that are going to tell you the right thing to do. Like with Irv Gotti, somebody is telling you what's right, and you rejecting it because you in your ego and you in your pride.
He don't want those. He, like you said, he wants the yes men.
He wants the yes men around you, and you should want people that are going to be willing to challenge your way of thinking, challenge what you're doing, and challenge you to be better. That's really what it boils down to. So, and I think a good therapist will do that.
Absolutely.
And a good therapist will ask you the tough questions. And if you're in therapy and you feel like it's a breeze and the therapist ain't asking you no tough questions, I would say that maybe you need to look at getting a new therapist.
Absolutely.
Because I went to a therapist before for our marital counseling. He was just like, oh, you guys are fine. Everything, you guys are good. It seems like you guys have no problems.
Oh, that happened to me when I sat down with a therapist. He was like, seems like you don't need me. I was like, oh, I need a different person.
Yeah.
Because you ain't it.
Because it's like, I need you to dig and find some things. Like, no, like, I can easily come into a therapist session and fake it. But as a good thing, you should be able to see through my little, you know what I'm saying? And not to say that we were faking it, but a lot of the problems and issues that we did not talk about in marital counseling popped up after we got married. And then, like, some of my friends and stuff, they were like, you guys didn't talk about that in counseling? And then my pastor was like, you guys didn't talk about that in counseling? I was like, no, but nobody told me what we should have been talking about in counseling. I'm in the session thinking that he's going to tell me what we need to talk about. And he's just trying to just basically pass us through and just give us an A instead of like, no, like, okay, what do you guys feel about money? How are you guys going to handle your money? How are you guys going to handle this blended family? Those are the conversations we should have had before we got married. But again, and I said it before and I'll say it again, that's why I'm an advocate for pre-engagement counseling. Because when you engage, you already got your eye on the prize and you want to just get to the altar.
Yeah, especially if you did it publicly.
You done already put down a deposit on the venue. You done bought the dress. You done already sent out the code to Men's Warehouse for the grooms to get their tuxes. You already did all that. So if things don't go well in therapy, you ain't gonna be like, all right, look, we pausing everything. Nah.
I feel like you should do it while you're engaged. I don't feel like you have to do it cause some people want the engagement to be a surprise, you know what I'm saying? But if you already going to counseling, you already know it's coming up. But I definitely for me, I think.
Do what you mean? You mean you should do the counseling after you get engaged?
I feel like you should do it before you start putting money down on shit.
Well, if I'm engaged, I already bought the ring.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I need to know: are you worthy? are we compatible for me to even propose?
Okay, you're right.
Because let's say we get into therapy or counseling. Let's say counseling. Let's say that we get into counseling and a big issue pops up.
You could take that L on the ring. You be all right.
Nah, hell nah. Hell nah. Hell nah. How much did I ain't gonna ask. That's a personal question.
I'm just saying, like,
I spent 4 bands on my engagement ring.
you could take that L. You
nah,
all right.
nah. In 2015,
Yeah.
4 bands on the ring.
You right.
Nah, because I ain't getting the ring back.
Yeah. That's tacky.
And even if I do get it back, they ain't gonna give me no money for it.
Yeah, that's tacky to ask for a ring back.
Look, the way I'm set up.
I'm sorry. It's tacky to ask for an engagement ring back just because it didn't work out.
Look, if I'm still making payments on that Zell's credit card, you ain't gonna be walking around with that damn ring while I'm still making payments on it.
I'm weak.
Nah, that ain't happening, dog.
I need that back.
I'll make that shit into a pinky ring or something, man.
Sick.
All right, man. Look, so if there's any takeaway from today's episode, man, don't be suckers. Everybody, please go to therapy.
Whatever your orientation is, don't be a sucker.
Don't be a sucker. Please don't be a sucker. And don't, yeah. And no, but seriously, Lo, I think Steph did bring up a good point. Please go to therapy, even when there's nothing wrong, right? And pay attention to your body. Just like you said, stress will manifest itself into sickness. So if you feel like something is off, and if you are in environments where you are in high stress environments, and I'm not going to be naive and make it be all BS where it's like, oh, well, just leave your job. Most people cannot do that. So you need to find more healthier ways to manage your stress. Eating healthier, working out, going to therapy, talking to somebody, being in a group, right? Because we have to be serious about that too. Not everybody can afford therapy.
Yeah,
Right.
Use the resources that you do have, because I know for me, like, even like I've been going through it, and I almost stopped myself from reaching out to my friends. I was almost like, nah, I don't want to do that. But then I was like, nah, I need to. You know what I'm saying? Because I need to talk about this.
That's what friends are for.
So, you know what I mean? But a lot of times, people will be sitting there like, oh, I don't have nobody here helping me, this and this and that. The resource, you be having people there. They can't help what they don't know. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, all it takes is for you to say, and everybody that I reached out to stepped up and gave me exactly what I needed. So it's like, I wouldn't have got that if I wouldn't have opened my mouth.
Open your mouth. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. And for the friend on the other side of that, if somebody's coming to you with a problem, just listen. Not everybody wants to be preached at. Sometimes it's just you need to listen and just be there for that person in that moment. Because you can somebody can be vulnerable with you, and then you kind of preach at them, and then that kind of turns them off. You're like, I can't come to you no more. Because you're not listening. You're kind of like, tell me what I need to do, instead of like, just.
It depends. You got to know your audience, and I just feel like you got to know.
Well,
my friends know me. They know, you know what I'm saying? We've been friends for decades now, so.
It depends on what you're asking. Yeah, I would hope that in a long-term friendship that people would know when to interject and when not to interject, when to give advice, when to listen, right? But sometimes it's not black and white. So I always side on the air of caution of hearing what the person has to say and then asking for permission. Like,
I'm not mad at that.
Do you want my opinion on this, or do you need help? And they say, no, I just wanted you to listen. Okay.
Absolutely.
I hear you, and I'm here for you. If you need anything, just give me a call. And just leave it at that. But I think sometimes people jump to the conclusion of giving an opinion before it's like, oh, I wasn't really asking for an opinion. Wanted you to just like, I needed to vent. Because sometimes you just need to vent. Because you know what? For me, sometimes me talking it out, I figure it out as I'm talking. Like,
yeah.
Oh, like, okay, like, hey, just thanks for listening.
That's true.
Sometimes
that's what happened to me. I literally was talking it out. I was like, oh,
see,
I didn't even think about that. And they ain't even said nothing yet. They're like, what? Because I'm just talking to myself.
Talking it out. I think sometimes that it is very therapeutic to just kind of just talk your situation out, and you like, oh dang, like, because sometimes in your thoughts be all over the place, and you like, but when you're talking it, you're really like, you're kind of, laying it out there, and you're like, oh man, you know what? Never mind. Like, I think I got it.
But think about this. I feel like that's why I kind of be on the fence about dragging people for venting to social media. I kind of be on the fence with that. Now, like when you telling all your business or whatever, like using it to like drag people or whatever, I get that. But sometimes like I follow a couple people that kind of like, they like work through their anxiety through social media. Like they'll be like basically like talking themselves through it through social. And sometimes people feel like you sharing too much, or
I'm not mad at that.
I feel like sometimes like just getting it off your chest.
I'm not mad at
kind of helps.
I'm not mad at that. I just don't like when people share and then tell people to stay out my, like,
that's true.
Stay out of my business, and it's like, bro, you put all your business out.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't be calling my phone. I'm just like, you just put out a whole paragraph saying you wanted to kill yourself. I'm like, well, you know what I mean? Like you can't do it. But I get what you're saying. And I do be like, Facebook is not a diary. Don't be on here like putting all your business out there. Just because I feel like at sometimes like there's some things that maybe you should think through. But I didn't think about it the way you're saying it. And you know what? I'm not mad at if it helps you get to a solution. However, whatever medium that you use, I don't mind it. Just you got to just be cognizant of the negatives that come along with
absolutely
putting out something on a public platform that everybody can go back and read.
Not even just go back and read. I feel like the only reason I personally wouldn't do it, I feel like I'm very like I have very pretty good discernment.
Yeah.
Some people don't. You might open yourself up for some real bad advice.
Yep. Yeah.
And then a lot of times too, like depending on what you believe, for me personally, like I don't like sharing a lot of stuff just because I hold it close to the chest, because it's like some stuff, it's going to just be between me and God. And I don't need other people's bad energy and negativity.
And that's where I'm at.
Over my situation. So that part for me.
Yep, I think we've all been there when you posted something and then your family see it and then they start like texting or calling people around like, oh, what's going on with Rob? What's going on with that? And I was like, I didn't need all that. But it's like, but I put it out there.
Yep.
And once you put it out there, you invite certain energy and certain spirits that come along with it. So I'm more, like you said, having discernment. I'm more careful.
Because people will talk about like manifesting and the power of words and this and that.
Life and
death is in the tongue. So it's like you'll have people speaking. You don't even know how many people are speaking negatively on that idea you put out.
Oh, yeah.
Or that situation that you're going through, and they talking about that they ain't never going to get out that situation. They always going to be that's what people are saying, and I believe in the power of that.
I do too.
So it's like,
that's why
I ain't giving you no chance.
My discernment is sometimes take it to God. And my thing is, I think that's where too I've matured. Why am I going to Facebook before I go to God?
Amen.
And it's like, if I really want my situation to change, can Facebook change it? No. And really, what am I looking for when I do that? Am I looking for attention? Am I looking for sympathy? Am I looking for likes? That's not going to help my situation. It may boost my dopamine because people may like and agree and reach out, sure. But ultimately, does it help me get to where I need to get to? And if the answer is no, then it's like, I don't need to post it.
No, man. You're right.
Like, what I'm going through with Jalen, I didn't post that anywhere on my Facebook page because I don't need, it's not nobody. I mean, the people that know. It's not for everybody else's consumption. It's not for everybody. And I don't need everybody. Like you said, I just don't want to open up myself for unclean spirits, for people coming in and gossiping and talking about. It's like, no, only people I need to know are the people that are praying, that are in agreement, that are loving, that are supporting. That's it. So I can choose those people instead of putting it out there for public, put up, and then everybody because then you're going to get people that you may not want to talk to talking about it.
I feel like I like I said, I'm on both sides. Like I'm on that side, but then there's also, those people, for them, they sharing it. They're, vlogging it.
Everybody
TikToking it.
Everybody would everybody has something different because I actually struggle with that too, because at one point I was like, I should share it because I feel like this would be a testimony that shows that, okay, God is real and that God will get him through.
Or
But
other
then-
people feel like, other people need to see that they can make it through or whatever.
exactly.
So I can see both sides.
both sides
of it.
to it.
Because I follow pages like that where it's like hashtag, so and so strong, and there, you got all this support. So it's like I can see both sides, but
ultimately,
neither one is wrong or right to me.
Ultimately, I feel like it would be wrong because he doesn't have any consent in that.
That part. Yep.
And there's a lot of people that post their kids and stuff on, and it's like how do you know that they want to be seen in that light?
Yep, that's facts.
So I was like, nope. I said he doesn't. I mean,
that's real.
You got to be cognizant of the other person because it's like I don't want to use him as like he may not want to be shared. He may not want to be. You know what I mean?
It's for me, I feel like as an adult, it's different when it's you.
Yeah.
Like if it was, your fight, that's different.
Yeah.
Like even with me, like when I'm like researching and looking for information and stuff like that, I don't see nobody who look. That's how I felt when I first started like looking up stuff about anxiety, and nobody that looks like me is talking about it.
Exactly.
So if I decide I want to be one of the people that looks like me talking about it,
then you can.
Then yeah, I am having to share my business and be vulnerable, but there's a purpose behind it.
Correct.
And I feel like you have to really be. It definitely has to have a purpose behind it because that's the only way you're going to be able to block out the negativity.
Right. And if you want to be an advocate, then be an advocate. But you choosing, you volunteering somebody else to be an advocate that's where I'm like, nah, I don't know if that's right now. We're just focused on healing.
And you know what the thing about it is? Even if you want to share, you could share what you're going through.
What I'm going through.
That's different. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I agree with you.
Yeah.
As far as like the consent.
Yeah, I even though that like, gentle parenting, consent with children, like that's different. I'm talking about something that is life or death that he's going through. Mm-hmm. He does not have a choice in what I do with it. Mm-hmm. So I would rather honor not doing it than doing it, and then him being upset later on in life. Like, dang, like why did you put that out there? Like that was at my worst, and maybe I did not want people to see me at my worst. So
I feel you on that.
All right, y'all, go to therapy. There's virtual, all that. Please look it up. We'll post it. And we actually, please join the ReVerb Nation because we do a mental health check every Monday.
Sure do.
Every Monday because we're trying to make sure that everybody's on the same page, man. It's about to be crazy out here in these streets. They're going to put us back on lockdown.
Yeah, I'm about to say COVID coming back up.
They're going to put us back on lockdown.
I don't like that shit. For sure, bro. I don't like that shit.
Look. Y'all better not act like how y'all was acting last time. I couldn't find no damn wipes nowhere. Had a newborn baby, couldn't even find no wipes in the aisle, man. That was crazy.
Y'all insane. We ain't doing all of that this time.
Nah, we not.
But be safe out here. Take care of yourself.
Take care of your mental.
Prioritize yourself, but also make sure that you are a part of community.
Connected, yes.
Connected and a part of community.
Prioritize yourself, but be connected to community. I think that is the lesson for today. So we out. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all.
We'll see y'all in the next episode.
Episode 61.